Ladies and gentlemen, it is once again that time of the week. It is Thursday, so that means it is time for If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking. And I am your host, Archie Mitchell. Only I'm not alone. I'm not just a host, I'm a co host this week because I have a very special guest. You know him from the We Can't Wrestle podcast and from Reliving the Extreme, Mr. Aaron Maxon.
What's up?
How you been, my friend?
I've been okay.
Aaron and I both wanted to talk about the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view that was going on. Nate wanted to talk about it as well, but our schedules kept conflicting. So Aaron and I just decided to do it on an episode of If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking.
Wait,
Um,
I spent $50 on it, so I got to talk to you about somebody. Like,
you should have told me I had like 3 free streams. You could have went into. You could have just watched it. Look, I'm all for supporting independent companies and things like that, but AEW's got to do something that really grabs me before I'm going to shell out $50 for a pay-per-view. So, but I'm not going to give away anything about the pay-per-view just yet. Um, we'll get into that in a few minutes, but it's time for you guys at home to crack open your favorite frosty beverage and listen to me and my buddy Aaron spew some venom, some hate, and some love about the wrestling business. And we're going to start off this week, Aaron, with a segment I like to call Quick Hits. And what that is just a brief hit of what's going on in the news over this past week in the wrestling world to give our thoughts a little bit about what's happening. All right.
okay.
So the first one is that AEW Spanish announcer Willie Urbina was caught making fun of then AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida during the commercial break of AEW Dynamite. They caught him on his microphone doing a stereotypical Japanese voice and making fun of her, saying things about fans only and being naked. And I don't condone this at all. I don't think that anybody should be made fun of in a stereotypical way, or no matter what it is that they do or didn't do. Willie Urbina was definitely out of line. But I will say this: how stupid are you to even attempt to make fun of somebody with a live mic?
I agree, and it's like even if it's a live mic, okay, I understand that, but even if it's a closed mic,
Right?
to because a live mic is different. Like a live mic is, everybody can hear it, but I guarantee that everything that's said is heard. You can't hear my fan, right? That's hear my fan on.
No.
Okay, okay, but everything that's said on any kind of television production thing, whether it's being broadcasted live or not, is heard by the people that are producing it.
Right.
And
Right.
and if somebody is being outwardly racist,
Exactly.
they gotta go.
I agree.
Like
And
I have a very dark sense of humor and a very liberal sense of humor where I find a lot of shit funny. You know what I mean? But if you're being like, like making those types of jokes,
exactly.
it's not cool.
Exactly.
And if the guy got fired, good.
Yeah, he was fired within hours of the news breaking,
and he should have been. And this isn't even like a I don't want to get off on like a political thing or whatever, but like the whole woke moment, like the whole woke movement, there's a lot of shit that happens in that where I'm just like, this is silly. Like, why are people mad about this? Like right now, like Snow White, the cartoon Snow White is being attacked because they said, oh, Prince Charming or whatever kissed her when she was unconscious and that was against her will. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And there's people that are attacking Friends because it was an all-white cast. Like shit like that. It's like, that's stupid. But if somebody's just openly mocking somebody,
well, that was the whole thing. I don't even think it was the attempt at the fake Japanese voice. It was the fact that when they decoded it, when somebody translated it, he was making fun of this young girl about OnlyFans and her doing naked picture spreads in Japan and things like that. And she's the world champion of their women's division. Give her a break. You know what I mean? She ain't doing anything in the United States to tarnish the company.
And that's what I'm getting at. It's also too, like, even if she was the fucking curtain jerker of the show, it's like if you're being outwardly disrespectful and racist towards somebody, you gotta fucking go.
Definitely. Get rid of it. And it's nice to see that Tony Khan does not stand for that BS and gets rid of people or bars people who don't even work for him for being outwardly racist or incompetent to other people's feelings when it comes to things of that nature. Second bit of advice, second quick hit and bit of news worthy piece. The WWE is trying to steal the New Japan connection from Impact Wrestling, AEW. It's been said that Nick Khan is trying to get a working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, as much as great as this sounds to some wrestling fans, there are a lot of people on that roster in New Japan who don't want to work for the WWE. So a working relationship may not be the best thing for them.
Yeah, it's like I don't even if I'm a Japanese superstar, okay, or wrestler, whatever you want to call it, and you tell me, oh, we can have a working relationship with Impact, and you can go work for Impact, and I'm not dogging Impact. I'm just saying, right. Like, if I'm a Japanese wrestler and they say, hey, we can have a working relationship and you can go work for Impact, or you can go work for the WWE, I'm going to say WWE.
But see, that's where you're wrong, because guys like Okada, guys like was it Tanahashi, the Guerrillas of Destiny, have all outwardly said that they've been approached by the WWE in the past when their contracts were coming up, and they said no because they've seen the way that they treated Tajiri, the way that they're treating Shinsuke Nakamura and Asuka right now, that they're not getting them over to their full potential. And I could understand that because look, Impact.
If you're Okada, why would you want to work for Impact when they had Okada before? They made him they made him like the Green Hornet sidekick. Yep. Like if I'm Okada, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I get to go. Like imagine like you're Okada and you get to sign. Well, not necessarily sign, but your company's signing with the WWE,
right?
And you're like, oh, hey, Okada, you get to go and maybe not necessarily go on the WWE brand, quote unquote, but we're going to let you go to the States and you're going to get to have a one-on-one match with Finn Balor.
Right.
Or you're going to get to have a one-on-one match with Roman Reigns. Or I know a lot of people hate the guy, but I like him. Johnny Gargano. You know, it's like I'd rather do that shit than fucking go work with Eric Young. And I'm not knocking Eric Young because I like Eric Young.
I agree with what you're saying, but I think, my thing is Tony Khan is doing the AEW thing, bringing in New Japan stars here and there, like with the Good Brothers and Impact, and Impact is doing it as well, slowly. I think the WWE would just bring in like 5 guys at a time. They'd all get pushed under the rug to lose to the WWE talent. And then when it was time for him to send wrestlers, Vince to send wrestlers to Japan, he'd be a little pissy and be like, okay, I'm going to send you Baron Corbin and I'll give you Nakamura back for a month. And you know what I mean? He wouldn't give them the top tier talent, and he also wouldn't let them lose. You know, he'd be pissy about it. So it wouldn't be an equal giving ground.
I think honestly, it probably would.
I don't know. Vince these days, I don't know how he would handle it. And I don't know how he handled this next bit of news tidbit. Coming out of the pay-per-view, Mark Henry is signed with AEW.
Well, from what I read with what Mark said, he said that Vince told him that he didn't want him to go, but if he felt he needed to do it, do it.
Right. And I mean, you look at Big Show, you look at Christian, Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy and Christian are the only two actually wrestling. Big Show's a correspondent on Elevation. Mark Henry's now going to be a correspondent on the new show Rampage that they're going to be doing on TNT. I don't think it's a crazy signing, of course, but Mark Henry's got name value, and he was an ambassador for the WWE, going to other countries to, say, hey, look, we're coming here to do a show. We'd love for you guys to come out. And, the WWE loves being in India, being in Japan, being here. So I think he's losing the talent in that aspect, not in the ring, but outside worthy.
And on the flip side of it, if I'm Tony Khan, okay, I want to figure out, I shouldn't say I want to figure out, like, if I'm somebody that's giving Tony Khan money, I'm going to ask him, what are you really spending money on?
Well, he's spending money on the coaching ability of Mark Henry. That's one. Because, of course,
fine.
And Mark Henry being on Rampage will probably add to the show a bit more. I know Big Show's doing great on Elevation as an announcer. I think it adds to the credibility of the roster of having a former world heavyweight champion on your roster. It's not signing Hulk Hogan when WCW did it, but
my thing is, it's really not putting him on a roster; it's putting him in a fucking chair. Well, you know what I mean? That's
true.
It's like, let's spend our money on some fucking talent that is actually going to do something in the ring.
Well,
which is a couple notes that I have on this fucking pay-per-view that we're going to watch. But it's like, okay, do I want to spend $1 million on Paul White, which Paul White's a talent, or do I want to spend $500,000 and get like
Pac or Adam Page?
Well, not even that. Like, they're already there. But I'm saying, like, do I want to spend $1 million? And I'm not even saying Big Show got $1 million. I'm just throwing a number out.
For instance,
do I want to spend $1 million on Big Show, who's going to commentate and make appearances, or do I want to spend $500,000 on like Daniel Bryan and X wrestler? You know what I mean?
That's the next bit of newsworthy quick hit we have here. This afternoon, today, Wednesday, WWE did a mass main event talent release. And Daniel Bryan, of course, left WWE a couple of weeks ago with a non-compete clause, obviously. It'll take a little while before we might see him anywhere else. But they let go of today Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Ruby Riott, Lana, the wife of Miro, the former Rusev, Santana Garrett, who was on NXT and just coming up to the SmackDown roster and is an indie talent, and Buddy Murphy. Those are all great talents who could end up in NWA, New Japan, Impact, or on AEW's roster.
Yeah, I see Braun going to AEW.
I more so saw him going to NWA for a little while.
I really hope he doesn't. That would make me mad.
Really?
I don't like Braun Strowman.
Okay.
Braun Strowman was like, a buddy of mine was like, can you believe they released Braun? I'm like, I kind of can. Because he didn't really...
he was living up to his potential. They just weren't pushing him the right way.
I don't think the guy advanced enough, in my opinion.
Why that size? I don't know. I beg to differ slightly.
Okay. But I could see like a Buddy Murphy mixing well with NWA. But I see obviously I see Lana going AEW. She's gonna wind up with Miro.
Definitely.
Aleister Black. I can see Aleister Black
anywhere.
But more than likely, I could see him going international.
Right.
Because that's where he's from. He's from what, Holland or something like that.
I think he's Dutch or something like that.
So I could see him going back overseas, but I really hope Braun Strowman to me doesn't fit the NWA roster, so I really hope he doesn't go there.
You might be right, but I could see them bringing him in for a show or two, maybe to wrestle Nick Aldis at a pay-per-view, and then him signing with an Impact or an AEW. Aleister Black, if he was to go to AEW, needs to be in the world title picture immediately, and here's why. The WWE fumbled with him. AEW needs to prosper. Ruby Riott and Santana Garrett, I kind of see them sticking to the indie scene for a little while before getting hired anywhere. Lana definitely in AEW without a doubt, and I think Buddy Murphy could pretty much land anywhere and do well.
Yeah,
he's got a lot going for him, and he definitely deserves a push somewhere in either a TNT title picture or the X division, or even a shot at the world title somewhere. So now that the quick hits are done, that brings us to Double or Nothing, or as Aaron saw it, I paid $50. I want to talk about this show.
Can we pause for a minute?
Yeah.
I just want to go smoke one cigarette.
Go right ahead.
Is that cool?
Good? Yep.
Okay.
Mark for deletion, Nate. From 5:17 or 5:18 to when I say mark for deletion. That was fast.
That'll be the last interruption.
That was quick. All right, we're gonna pick up in 3, 2, 1. So our opening match on the pay-per-view was actually on the pre-show. It was on the buy-in, as they call it, and it's Serena Deeb defending the NWA Women's title against Riho. And firstly, I'd like to say I find it odd that Serena Deeb has defended the NWA Women's title on AEW and not in the NWA yet. I just find it weird.
Yeah, and it's a rub for the NWA. I mean, I understand why they would want to do that. I mean, get your
national television, yeah, but I mean, Aldis isn't on there with the NWA World Title. I hear now at their next pay-per-view on June 6th, it will be Serena Deeb defending the title against Camille, which is great. But she does it here tonight on Double or Nothing. This match should have been on the pay-per-view. It had no reason to be on the pre-show, in my opinion. Both women gave it their all in the ring, and Deeb showed some innovative offense. I don't know if you noticed that double leg dragon screw leg whip that she pulled out. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah. Some of my notes are I think Riho isn't a bad wrestler. I mean, she gets a bad rap from some people. Mm-hmm. Just like she gets a bad rap from some of the call to cornet, is what it is. But she's not a bad wrestler. My only the one thing I will say that I agree with somewhat with like what Cornette says is that she's very small. Very small.
Very. And I almost think she's going to get hurt every time she's in the ring because she can be really ragdolled by just about anybody.
Yeah. And in that aspect, I think some like watching this, and and a couple of their matches I saw, I think she gets a little too much like forward offense. She should scale it back more. And Serena Deeb is fucking fantastic.
Yeah. You never guess it's the woman that shaved her head to be in CM Punk's group in the WWE years ago. It's a different total transformation of a woman.
Who she reminds me of, and I hate, like, shouldn't say I hate, but like something where people, oh, this person reminds me of this person, or that person reminds me of that person. Sometimes I think that's a little, I don't want to say like annoying or whatever, but it's like I don't like to compare people to other people. But what Deeb reminds me of in this era of women's wrestling is she reminds me of Ivory.
Who?
Ivory.
Slightly, yes. Yes, the older, the more, she's got her seasoning and, I agree with that. I see a little bit of Ivory and a little bit of Mickie James, in the style that she does. But she's gotten a killer instinct lately, too, where it's not just her being poppy and coming to the ring all smiley. She's actually whipping ass.
Yeah, and that's kind of like how I looked at like Ivory was. She was good looking, right. And she projected what you want like a female wrestler to look like. I shouldn't say like female, but like she's not terrible to look at, but at the end of the day,
she can go in the ring too.
She's fundamentally sound.
Right.
Has great fucking matches, no matter who you put her in there with. And
without a doubt.
She was great. And this match is really good.
I agree. I wrote down in my notes, this is one of the best women's matches I've actually seen in a long time, because I don't know if it was Deeb leading Riho or Riho stepping up her game, but both women had great chemistry. There was no really like mess ups or botches, or it was just a straight through 20-minute match that was good. And for like I said, it should not have been on the buy-in. It should have definitely been on the pay-per-view itself. But I guess I understand Tony Khan's way of thinking. But it was a 3-hour pay-per-view regardless. We then get to our opening match. We're welcomed into Dali's place, and it is Adam Page versus Brian Cage. And JR gets his jollies on saying Page and Cage are going to rage over and over again.
And but before the match, what I was going to say was I totally went into this pay-per-view. I didn't watch it live because I had to work. Right, but I didn't read any reviews. I didn't listen to anything about the show. I didn't read any spoilers. I was like, I'm going to sit down and watch this thing totally version to it.
Same.
Nobody opens a wrestling show like Jim Ross.
Oh, without a doubt.
Nobody.
Without a doubt. If they only had him open the show and then go away, that would be fine. Or only call like a main event. Yeah. You know what I mean? But he is fantastic at welcoming the crowd in and making you feel like it's a big fight feel no matter what show it is.
And Adam Page from the AEW that I've watched, I don't understand why this guy wasn't the guy that they just right at the beginning of it was just like, this is our fucking dude.
And they wanted to, and I don't blame Chris Jericho, but I think Tony Khan saw Jericho as the name that he wanted as his company's top guy, because it was Page and Jericho for the first AEW World Heavyweight Champion. So they were trying to, hook their horses per se onto Adam Page, but they just felt Jericho was the better way to go. But in my opinion, Adam Page is and Brian Cage, they're the future of this business, Aaron, because Adam Page has all the tools.
Adam Page could have been money, right from the bat, like right from jump. But the little bit I've watched of AEW, they've just went backwards with the guy, and now it's gonna take another year to get him there. And I think they've done a disservice to Adam Page. I really do.
I agree. Some people have said it was wrong to put him with the Dark Order. And now it's like, well, it's a favor to Brody because he passed, and that's why Adam's doing it. And I understand that it's a great feel-good story, but that should have been for a guy like Sting or Matt Hardy to be with that group once Brody Lee passed away, not a youngster like Adam Page who needed to get over on his own. Brian Cage, though, on the other hand, he's a monster. He's innovative, and I can't imagine how a guy that's 300 pounds of solid muscle does the moves that he does. You know, he's agile. I've never seen a guy that size do a shooting star press and land it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I agree with that. And my notes on this match is like, and it's going to be in the going to be a little foreshadowing of this rant you told me to write. Was 2 minutes in. 2 minutes in, there's a suicide dive and a power bomb into the post. Why? Why is that a thing? And like you were saying, like Cage is a beast and he can do all this shit, but why is he doing it? Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it.
One of my favorite stories Big Show tells, Paul White, is that when he was younger in WCW, he got on the top rope and he did a missile drop kick. And he landed it perfectly. And he walks backstage. Arn Anderson looks at him and goes, "Don't you ever do that ever fucking again."
Yeah, no.
And he's like, "Why?" He's like, "It's great that we know you could do that, but don't risk killing yourself to do something like that just for the sake of doing it." You know,
don't do it on a Nitro. Do it on Starrcade.
Right.
And I know Double or Nothing is like a big show for him or whatever, but
it's the opening match, and it's
the opening match. It's the opening match, and they're trying to get Brian Cage over, obviously, with the finish of this and the story they're telling, and they want to build him up into being a babyface. So let this guy go like a fucking year, and then at the next year's Double or Nothing, let him bust this shit out.
Let him unleash.
Say they build him up and it gets over for like a fucking year, and now they're in front of people and all this shit. And he does it next year, it's like, it doesn't matter. Oh, we saw that guy do that a year ago.
Right, he did it a year ago, right. I agree. What I liked about this, though, is that it looked like a pure fight. They weren't holding back. They weren't told to pull any moves. Taz on commentary was a little annoying, just because I don't like Taz on commentary. I don't think he needs to be there. He should be at ringside as a manager, not with a live mic in his hand. But then, of course, we get Hook and Ricky Starks running out. They try to cause some interference. Cage says, "No, I want to do it on my own," and it ends up costing him the match. So that shows a little bit of dissension in the ranks of Team Taz, which has been building for months.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't see the allure of Team Taz, but if Taz has to be a manager like an Arn Anderson or a Tully Blanchard, that's fine. Let him manage Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. Brian Cage, like you said, needs to be built up on his own as either a face or a heel, and see what he can do.
And my only complaint of this match was that I don't think this should have been the opening match.
No, should have been maybe 4th or 5th in the card.
If they were gonna have this style of match, it shouldn't open the show.
I agree. But the good thing is they gave them time, so it wasn't a rushed curtain opener. But I agree with you. It should have been 4th or 5th on the match card. We then come, though, to a match that I was okay with, but I think could have been a little better. The Young Bucks versus Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. I'm loving Moxley and Kingston as a tag team, actually.
I do too, and I'm not. There's also, we get back into like the Call to Cornette type thing, like, because I'm a Cornette fan. Don't get me wrong.
So am I.
But there's people that when Mox got over there started being like, "Oh, well, Moxley was this or Mox." Like, I'm a Jon Moxley fan. I was a Dean Ambrose fan. Okay, I like Dean Ambrose. I like Jon Moxley. I'm a huge Eddie Kingston fan.
Big time Eddie Kingston fan.
I try to. I've said this to a couple people and they don't understand what I'm saying. Like, Eddie Kingston isn't the most fantastic wrestler in the world.
That promo, though.
That's what I was going to say. Was I attribute my fandom of Eddie Kingston to the fandom that I have of Road Dogg.
Right.
Like, Road Dogg wasn't the greatest bell-to-bell wrestler, but he could talk his fucking ass off.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And the shit that he did in the ring wasn't fantastic, but it was like impactful, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Right. No,
and that's I think Eddie Kingston is, and I said I hate trying to say, oh, this guy's this guy of his generation. Eddie Kingston's the Road Dogg of his generation. He can talk his fucking ass off, put him in a tag team, and he'll elevate the person that he's with.
Right.
And that's how I feel about Eddie and Mox. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, I hate Jon Moxley just because he's in AEW now. No. I enjoy Jon Moxley. I didn't know that they came out to Wild thing.
It's only been 3 weeks. It's only been the first week he did was against Nagata, and it was the old Wild thing, the real slow, rock and roll version. The second week they gave them the Wild thing, Ricky Vaughn version, and I have to say now I want to see it in a live crowd atmosphere.
I know, but I looked at it and I was like, "That's Onita's thing." Like,
it is, but apparently
Onita it's like nobody in this company can come up with their own shit. Like, everybody's like doing the Too Sweet and everybody's doing it. It's like, really, come up with your own thing, man.
Apparently, before the death match or the sparkler match that they had a couple months ago, Onita gave Moxley the okay to use Wild Thing when he comes out. So
that's fine, but just like, come up with your own thing.
The problem I had with this match, though, was that Eddie wasn't in the match all that much. It was mostly Moxley either delivering an ass whipping to the Bucks or the Bucks delivering it to Moxley. I mean, Eddie got in and Eddie sold, but they kept throwing him out and bringing Mox back in. And then Mox finally bled, which was good. It was nice to see him actually get color in a match that he was getting an ass whipping in. He sold for the Bucks crazily. And the Bucks did a little better job of selling here than they normally do. I know our friend Mr. Cornette can't stand the way the Bucks sell in wrestling.
I can't stand the Bucks at all. And that's not even me.
I'm different
going that route. It's like I like Jon Moxley, I like Eddie Kingston, but the Young Bucks, I can't stand them.
I'm a little different.
And it's not even I can't stand them because they're great heels. I can't stand them because I just can't stand them.
You're like I am with Baron Corbin. It's not that it's heel heat. It's I don't like you as a person.
Yeah,
there's a difference, right?
Like everything they do looks fucking.
It's choreographed
and
on
terrible.
a trampoline, right? I understand. I see it too now. For some reason, seeing them weekly on AEW has brought it out more. When I used to watch them in Ring of Honor in New Japan, they would wrestle sparingly, like once every 3 weeks, so it was a little different. But it was the only thing that made me laugh during the match, and it was corny. The Dior Day device, when they did the Doomsday device, but they hit them with the sneakers. It was corny, but it made me laugh, Aaron, because why would you even do that? You know what I mean?
This whole thing was an illogical, disjointed mess. It was a fucking mess of a match. And I think it was Moxley that did it. Moxley did a Scorpion Deathlock.
Right.
Moxley that did it?
Yep.
Why on fucking earth are you going to have Jon Moxley in the second match do a Scorpion Deathlock
when Sting's on the show later on?
That Sting is on the fucking show, and they've been saying this guy hasn't wrestled in front of a live crowd in 6 years.
Well,
you're going to tell me that Dean Malenko, Jerry Lynn, Arn Anderson, Jake Roberts, Mark Henry, who is apparently now an agent in that company, Tully Blanchard, nobody said, what the fuck are you? Why the fuck would you do that?
I'm sure once they came back, they did. I don't think that they knew that was going to happen. because the Young Bucks do the sharpshooter during their match. So I think Moxley figured what
then that is a mismanaged fucking company.
It is.
I guarantee you, and people can say what they want to say about Vince McMahon, Triple H, and the WWE.
Oh, you're right.
But I guarantee, if somebody like, I'll just throw a name out, somebody like Cesaro,
right,
would be on a card, and they were like, "Hey, we're bringing Sting back for the first time in 6 years," and in his match, as they were planning it out, which I don't like them planning out matches, but that's the business now. Said, "Oh, and then like 10 minutes in, I'm gonna hook a Scorpion Deathlock." I guarantee
someone would yell at him.
Somebody would say,
"What are you
the
thinking?
fuck you are? you scrub that shit.
Right.
You can do an Indian Deathlock. You can do a figure 4."
Right, but not a Scorpion
You're goddamn not doing a Scorpion Deathlock, because that's Steve's shit.
You're right.
And he's going to do that in the third match. He's going to do that in the fourth match.
You're right.
So,
you're right.
And that's going to be in my rant in a little bit. But anyway, that was something I watched in this match, and I was like, what the fuck?
Right. Why would you do it? Right. And they didn't even do it correctly. Like, you could see they were straining to have it on. And then you got a guy like, that's like Bret Hart or shit. Why would you do that? It's like spitting in their face. I understand what you're going with that. The Bucks go over, though. It was nice to see Moxley actually take an L, which I don't normally see him do in AEW. But on
that
occasion,
knee finish is terrible.
What's that?
That knee finish.
Yeah,
they hold the guy's arms and him with the fucking pathetic knees. It's terrible.
And the announcer's trying to sell it that he didn't fall. Well, they're not letting him go. Well, no, they're holding him up. There's a difference.
Yeah, that knee finish is terrible.
The next match we could pretty much gloss over because it was the Casino Battle Royal, which should have been first, in my opinion, because they kept saying, "Oh, the Joker's going to be this huge return and this huge debut." Everybody thought it might have been Ryback or somebody like a Daniel Bryan, which he's got 90 days. He can't be in AEW yet. It ends up being Lio Rush, and I have nothing against Lio Rush. He's a great talent, but that should have been your opener then. You know what I mean?
And if I'm Lio Rush, I'm 106 pounds. Okay?
Right.
Why would I say, hey, the match I want to debut in is a match where somebody can throw me over the top rope? I'm 106
and I'm not winning.
Pounds.
Right, and I'm not winning. But they've done this before. They did it with Evan Bourne at the last Casino Battle Royal, and Bourne totally botched his shooting star press entrance into the ring. So, I mean, they do that with Battle Royals. What I did like, though, Christian looked great. So did Pentagon and Hobbs. And Jungle Boy getting the rub and being put over in the Battle Royal was a surprise, but I like it. He's got a shot at the world title coming up.
And I think Jungle Boy has, just from a little bit I've seen of him, he's got a star quality to him, and I don't mind the entrance that he has and all that shit. Like, I think Jungle Boy could be something if they utilize him properly.
Definitely. Well, the thing that they like about him, and I do too, this kid can go for 20, 30 minutes and actually give great offense, but also take a beating and on the defense. So they need a seller and a wrestler there. And I think hopefully he can get a great match out of Kenny Omega when they battle the world title in a couple of weeks. And then we go to a match that I was not happy with at all. We got Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Ogogo. The American Dream. Cody Rhodes. The day before Memorial Day. He comes out dressed like Apollo Creed. What the fuck?
And first off, you're chopping
Aaron,
up.
You there?
I'm here.
Aaron, can you hear me?
You're chopping up.
Hold on. give it a second. Hold on. Yeah, it's getting laggy. Can you hear me now?